If you clicked on this video, you might be confused, curious. You want answers, you want hope, you want to know why your life has taken the turn as it has. Out of every video on this platform, you chose to click mine. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but maybe God has put us together to share His lessons. I don't know what each and every one of you are going through right now. Some people face with temptations. Some people face with management issues such as anger management. Some people face with depression. Each and every one of us has our own problems that we're facing through. I was born a Christian because both of my parents were Christians. So, the first few years of my life when I was a child until I was a preteen, life was pretty normal. My faith wasn't really that strong because I mostly went to church or read the Bible only because my parents told me to. Because, it's what Christians are supposed to do, right? And this kept going on until I was 13. I had a lot more bigger personal problems. I faced with loneliness for a long time. I was kind of insecure about myself. And I felt that I was useless and I was a bad person in general. That's when I started to get closer to God. I started trying to get closer personally, with all my parents, of course. I started reading the Bible every day, way more often. I watched a lot of video about God and His lessons and teachings, and I learned a lot more. But as that happened, life didn't really get easier. In fact, I'm more aware of my weaknesses now. At first I questioned myself, why does God keep giving me these challenges and obstacles I have to face through, often when I'm getting closer to Him, when I'm, you know, pouring more and more of my time. But let's get back to when I said I'm more aware of my weaknesses. God helps us in a way that we don't really expect. When I first became aware of my weaknesses, I was kind of frustrated. I kept asking God, why do you keep giving me these obstacles and challenges that I keep failing to? Well, First Corinthians 10, verse 13 says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. This basically says that God doesn't give us battles that we cannot endure. But why does God give us battles in the first place? It's because He wants us to be better. This is not just us trying to become better, but it's us trying to become better in His vision. It's us trying to live according to His, what God, how God wanted us to live. I'm sorry if I'm explaining this bad. This is, my first time ever trying to make videos like this. But as I said, when I had weaknesses and I had, flaws in myself, I didn't really try to fix it back then. I just accepted it, and after every time I've, went back to that weakness, I was just disappointed in myself, really. But with God, He gives me a reason to fight. He gives me a vision that there's so much more to life than just rotting in your room, playing video games, thinking about the same thing over and over again and stressing about it. He gives us these problems and obstacles to tackle because he this is his way of training us. Because to pressure, that's where diamonds are made. So when I shifted my perspective, when I went from trying to run away from those obstacles and challenges, I faced them. But I knew that there is someone who loved me, who protected me, and cherished me right by my side every time. And that is God. I remember that. So when I'm facing a hard time, I remember God who is always with me. When I'm facing, a situation that's making me angry, I always remember that there's someone next to me who will always stay by my side and will always support me as long as if it's good. With this shift, I started to realize that this is how God wanted me to be better. God has the power to make me basically the most perfect man in this world in, the snap of his fingers, but he didn't want that. Because if he did that, then no one would be sinning right now. But God helped me face through the tough times after that shift, basically. So basically, after that shift, sorry if I keep repeating stuff, I realized that the toughest roads are the roads that lead us to God. We all talk that we want to be in His kingdom, we want to, be faithful and great Christians, but how are we supposed to do that if we don't know what is wrong and right? And if we keep doing what is wrong, then technically we're not living right according to God's, ways and rules. And to be clear, living the wrong way is definitely way easier than living the right way. Or to put it simply, following your flesh is way easier than following your spirit. Because the flesh it consists of everything that you want to do. It's more comfortable. You don't need to fight for anything really, and you just get to relax. But flesh is temporary, but the Holy Spirit is eternal. You can't bring all these riches, worldly riches, and all these branded items with you when you die. Only your spirit and your soul. And that's when God sees you and judges you based off how you lived, in your life on earth. So if you're having a hard time in life right now, just remember that there is a person who is always there for you. Some of you might have, parents that fight all the time or are not really supporting you. But just remember, there's one person that is always right beside you, and that is God. Thank you, guys.